Xiomy here. So today I wanted to do Top 5 Wednesday, and Top 5 Wednesday was created by Lainey over on Ginger Reads Lainey, but now it's being hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. And it's been a hot minute since I've actually done a Top 5 Wednesday video, and I decided to just sit down because I want to do more discussion videos, especially in 2019, and I want to get back into the feel of actually filming videos. So I was like, you know what, the next 3 topics are really intriguing and I just want to do them. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. The topic for discussion is books to give. You insert here, and I decided to insert an Ambivert as gifts. Now I'm going to explain a bit to see how, so you can understand where is it that I fall under this discussion, and it's the following. I consider myself an ambivert, so we do have aspects both from introvert and extrovert. An introvert, even though I don't consider myself too much of an introvert because I'm not that much of a shy person, I'm more of a silent person. I like to watch and observe a lot, but introverts are also known for being very conscious of their thoughts and their ideas and their feelings and whatnot. So that's something that I'm really always conscious about. And also the fact that I am also considered an extrovert, and I have taken personality tests to actually see where is it that I fall, and I always fall in the middle. But being an extrovert, you are outgoing, and you do love social interactions with people, and this is something that I love. And even though there are times when all I want to do is be a hermit crab, because let's be real, life sometimes is stressful, and all I want to do is just be in my house and do nothing else, and just be a little hermit crab, and us as book lovers, I all the time, well, not sometimes, all the time, because I was about to say sometimes, but I was like, all the time I live vicariously through characters from books. And also, like, come on, let's be real, I want to read in order to go on an adventure in the confines of my own home, because that's just the perfect notion for a book lover. So the way that I'm going to establish my list is the fact that here we have these characters that are at times quiet and shy, sometimes sometimes they think that they're not that important to society, they're just loving and beautiful and kind characters, and then they get thrusted into this adventure and they become better than from what they actually are. And even though they think that their role within the adventure that they're thrusted into isn't worthwhile, in the end it does, because it makes them grow as characters, and also it makes them lovable to us, also relatable, and we live vicariously through them. So that's how I want to explain this topic, because that's how I've centered these books around. And the first one that I'm going to be speaking about is the one that just brought this topic to my mind when I saw it, because I was struggling, and I was like, what am I going to speak about? But it's the following book, and even though I wasn't a huge fan of this book, I want to include it in the list because I think it's perfect for this list, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is such a beautiful and well-written story. I have to admit that the prose, the atmospheric vibes to it is just stunning. I can't take anything away from the book, but because it's, in my sense, I think that it's overused and it's used quite often within the book, I think that the pace of the story does drag, and nothing really happens until 80% of the book. But I have to admit that Laszlo's first part was so beautiful. I loved him so much, and that's why I based this topic, because of Laszlo. Laszlo is such a beautiful, bookish, loving character, and he's just so genuine and so lovable, and I just he's a Cinnabon. He's just so beautiful. He always has his nose within the pages of a book, and then he gets thrusted into this adventure. Even though he is a scholar at heart, he doesn't think that him being within these people that come to recruit certain important people to help them with a citadel that's within their village, which has caused a lot of destruction within their lives. And he thinks that he's just an ordinary person there that's not going to do anything, but he's thrusted into this adventure, and he just becomes such an incredible character, and he becomes better than from who he thinks he actually is, and also discovering a lot of things in his life. And I think that Laszlo was such a beautiful, genuine character, because even though he knows that being angry and being mad, these aren't aspects from him as a person, he will genuinely help you, even though if he doesn't get any credit for it, because that's the kind of character he is. And then getting thrusted into this adventure and him learning more about himself as a person, I thought that was beautiful, and I can't wait for to continue with this story. I do want to pick up the sequel, but like I said, for me, actually the pace is the one that really dragged, but the story per se is beautiful, and the characters are really intriguing. And I'm gonna say this, even though Mina is one of the characters that I really did enjoy, she disappointed me in the end, and I'm just like, ah. But Laszlo is the one that kept me going in this book. And you know, it depends where you fall on this book, because I've seen some people that really, for lack of a better word, I'm just gonna say loathe this book, and others who have, you know, raved about it. So I actually fall in between. I've seen people that fall in between. I actually fall in between just because of the pace. But, you know, I can't take anything away from this book because it is well written and you feel a part of these characters, and these characters are just so beautiful. And, you know, I highly recommend for a lot of people to read it. The next book that I'm going to be speaking about is also a book that's well known, because I wanted to have like well known books and also like hidden gems, books that I think that need to be given a lot more love and that are also underrated. But the next one is one that a lot of people, you know, have read, have loved, well, you know, the majority of people, and it's also, you know, a movie. And that is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I thought that this was an amazing debut, and it also tackles some serious, strong topics, and I have to admit that it was beautifully done. And also the fact that you have Star, who's just a sort of ordinary girl, you know, she's just living her life. She does live, you know, sort of double life, because she lives like who she is in her own neighborhood, and, you know, in her school she's this kind of different person, and these two personalities at one point clash, and she has to see like which one is more important, or who is she really within her own life. And also her seeing her cousin being shot by a white police officer, and also the injustice that's being served, and also police brutality. I thought there was an amazing topic that was handled really well. And also those last 100 pages are a page turner. They're heart pounding and they're heart wrenching, because you don't know what's going to happen. But I thought it was an amazing story. I still haven't seen the movie. I want to, but just when I went to see it, it wasn't in my theater, so I'm just gonna wait for it to be released in DVD. But here we have an example of Star, who's a regular ordinary character, and she gets thrusted into this situation, and you know, she steps up to her role. She becomes more of a symbol to the people that are fighting, you know, for justice. And I thought that, again, it's an amazing story. It's something that is so incredibly written, and it's just, like I've mentioned, impactful, and definitely it's a must read for a lot of people. The next book that I want to speak about is one that I think that should get a lot more love, because like people, I need people to fangirl with, because this book was just, I loved it. And that is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Córdoba. The second installment did come out, which is Bruja Born, but this one follows Alex, because we have sisters, and this one, from what I'm seeing, is going to follow every different sister. But in this one we have Alex, and Alex is a bruja. The fact is that she doesn't want to be a bruja, so she decides that on her death day party, which is her coming of age sort of party, where her powers augment and she becomes powerful, you know, as a bruja. So she decides on this day to do a spell. She's never casted a spell, and unfortunately that spell backfires, and all her family suddenly disappears. She sends her family into in-between worlds, so she is thrusted into this adventure where she has to save her family, or else they're going to be stuck in that in-between world. We also have a female-on-female romance that was a slow burn that I just simply loved. And you also get to see how she's tested throughout this journey, because she didn't want to be a bruja, which is why I mentioned that she did that spell. And over the course of the story, you know, she becomes stronger as a character, and she sees that what's important and also what she was taking for granted. And I have to admit that that made it for an amazing story. This also has a cover revamp, and I think that the other cover, the new cover, is really amazing, but it was only in paperback, so that's why I decided to stick with this one. But the story inside is just precious. These characters are just amazing, and it's such a well-written story. The Hispanic or the Latin flair that it has within this story, and I love that my Latino representation is within this story, and also it is a person of color. So I have to admit that, you know, the diversity within this book is just freaking incredible, and I need more people to read this book because I want to fangirl with a lot more people. So this was an amazing read, and I highly recommend for a lot of people to read it, you know. The next book that I'm going to be speaking about is also one that I feel like a lot of people need to also read it because it was just so beautiful, and that is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a personal book that I have to admit that I loved, because it does have person of color representation, it does have Latino representation, and it is a book told in verse. It is a narrative verse, and I have to admit that I just loved it. The Spanish that's woven throughout the story was just beautiful. And we also have a book that deals with strong topics. You know, we have topics of body image, and also catcall, and how she's verbally harassed by a lot of people, and even touched by people just because of her image, just because she is a voluptuous, curvy person. And also like her trying to stand up towards, you know, these stereotypes or genders within the world, and also the fact that she has abusive parents and how she's going to deal with this. And we also have her like being like this quiet person, and the fact that, you know, there's this teacher that believes in her and actually thrusts her into this situation of writing poetry and writing slam poetry, and seeing how, you know, impactful this is for her life. And the fact that, you know, she also has a sibling that, you know, loves her, and, you know, their interaction. And I thought that, and it also tackles with the fact of religion, and also how she, you know, stands up against religion. Also, you know, she speaks out a lot. You know, she doesn't know if she wants to be completely committed to religion, but, you know, she thinks that, you know, she loves that aspect. But like the storytelling, the characters, everything was just so beautiful. And again, it's an impactful story because it deals with that issue, you know, her being an ordinary, you know, teenager, just, you know, trying to deal with life and the messed up situations within the world, and actually standing up for more, and having somebody, especially your teacher, that, you know, believed in her and wanted her to always be there, you know, to you know, just do slam poetry because her words were so impactful that, you know, she needed to speak these words. And I thought that was something that was really incredible. And you know, her going on this journey and knowing that this was something that impacted her life a lot, and that she loved doing poetry, and that poetry, you know, was a part of her. There's just some moments that are heartbreaking, but oh my god, this was such a good story. And I love the characters. I just loved everything about it. Like, I heavily like wrote in this book, like, you have no idea. Like, I wrote in this book like so much. I don't know if you can tell, but like I like wrote the crap out of this because it was just so beautiful. There are so many lines and verses, and just there's a poem in here that just resonated with me and just spoke to me. It was just it was so beautiful. I'm gonna put it down because now I'm gonna keep on repeating the same things over and over again, but this was just an incredible reading experience. And for the final book, I might be tweaking it a bit with this one, but I feel like it does fall in this category, and that is The Reader by Tracy Chee. The final book in this installment already came out, and I can't wait to just sit down and binge this trilogy. And here we have Sophia, was her name, right? Yes. Sophia, even though Sophia was raised within the fact that her father was brutally killed, and she has been raised by her aunt, and even though she has been trained to survive and, you know, live in the wilderness and, you know, hunt for things that she wants, there's one day that her aunt suddenly vanishes, and this is where the adventure, or where she gets thrusted into an adventure. She wants to know why is it that this rectangular object that she carries, which is the reason her father was killed, you know, he was brutally murdered. She has to discover and piece together why is it that these things happen to her, because this is a society where there are many people who are illiterate, because literacy has been abolished. And the rectangular object that she has, she later discovers that it is a book. And I thought that the adventure that she's thrusted into was just amazing. And even though there are a lot of convenient situations and events, I honestly didn't care, because these were my peeps and I wanted everything, like nothing but good things for them. And also Archer was such a Cinnabon that I freaking loved him from beginning to end. Since the moment he was introduced, he's a character that so much was taken from him, but I can't wait to see where else does the story develop. And there are side stories of pirates that in one way or another eventually get meshed into the story, but it was just such an incredible journey to go on. And also we have like I said, there are little stories, like, you know, something like this where there are pirate stories. And also, let's see if I can find one that you can see, like on the pages, like on the page numbers, there are like little words, and eventually it's going to give you something like some kind of story, or when I just have to piece all those words together. And I did. It was incredible, but I can't wait to see what else happens within the story. You also have diversity within the book, so I thought that was something that was incredible. But I really freaking enjoyed this book, and I can't wait to continue the series. But those are all the books that I would give an Ambivert as gifts. I want to thank you for watching. If you read any of these books and you thought that one of them was your favorite, or you're intrigued by one of them, I don't know, let me know. And also let me know whatever you want. Just, you know, let's just chit chat down below. But I want to thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.